I will call to order the regular meeting of Dayton City Council for July 28th. Please stand for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I need a motion and a second for the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Are there any changes, Zach?
Or changes. I'm going to request we pull F just to have our legal questions answered. Any other changes?
Yes, Mayor, members of council, sorry, I'm just uploading things. Mayor and council, I want to make sure we note on the agenda, the actual notes and information is correct. On item A and B should be July 14th and not July 7th, even though it's loaded on the agenda, it says July 7th. It is actually the minutes from our July 14th meeting. All the information within there is correct, just the agenda wants to be updated, so it's correct. Thank you.
Any other changes, comments?
This is for.
I have a question. I'm wondering if we would be okay with pulling H as well. That feels to me more like a conversation we should have had or should be having in our CIP discussion, or and less of a item now. I'm wondering why, and there's no timeline on that one, and so
I did have some questions on that, so maybe
not.
it makes sense. I was a little surprised it was here.
I mean, we can totally discuss it too. I guess
So you want
wanted
to
know.
move it to what, the discussion of long-term plan, or what did you?
Yeah, I just don't know that this is the correct avenue to have that discussion, that we had that work session and we are not done talking about the future plan with our capital equipment. And so I'm just wondering, the CAPIC didn't indicate anything different or any
Right.
like emerging
I would tend
issue.
to agree with putting it into the CIP conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Just want to clarify for the record that we have removal of item F, removal of item H,
Yep.
and adjustments of both A and B with July 14th instead of July 7th.
Yes.
Anything else? Okay.
Any other comments? All right. All those in favor with those amendments, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Agenda carries 5-0. We are then on to consent. I need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion.
Stephanie and Scott. All right, discussion? Nothing on consent? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. That carries 5-0. And with that, we have an open forum response. These responses are based on a collective response to the city administrator by the entire council, represent the majority of the council. Each council member may have different thoughts on the topic, but this is a collective majority. The topic was Metro Mobility implementation in Dayton. City staff was able to gather information related to the costs and implementation of Metro Mobility being added as a service by the Metropolitan Council. After this information was shared to the council, it was derived that the cost does not outweigh the benefit at this time. And that is it for forum responses. And now we are on to open forum. Limited to 3 minutes for non-agenda items. State your name and address. No council action will be taken, and items will be referred back to staff. Is anybody here for open forum? Come on forward.
Victoria Rice, I live in Mondale Lane.
Speak into the oh, okay, but just speak into the mic so it gets into the minutes.
I'm
Yep,
sorry.
that's okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, you can sit.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm here again about the safety issue over here on Diamond Lake, where I live, 13931 Mondale Lane North. I know the speed bumps were dismissed, but we have a safety problem over here. And I know that all of us know when we have speeding, there's great potential for body harm or maybe even death, and it's out of control. So I have a plan for you, and I think that you're going to go for it. I drew a map here. It's kind of hard to see it from where you are, and I will leave it with you. of putting some stop signs where the traffic is the worst, the speeding. These people are not going 30 miles an hour. They're going 50. I don't have a clock to do that, but I'm telling you, it's pretty out of line. So I'm requesting 2 stop signs, and I have the map drawn, if you can read my artwork here. And I want to know, too, if it isn't passed to get these stop signs here, how much would it cost to put stop sign there? That's my other question. Something has to be done.
What we'll do is we can get your map to staff,
Okay,
and they will look at it.
sure.
If we do it or don't do it, it probably won't be based on cost.
Okay, so what would it be based on?
Well, it would be based on probably a number of factors, but
Do you know
Well-
what those factors are that you could tell me?
Not
So I
right
can
now.
tell my neighbors?
not right now. But we will probably have a response to this also when we look at it.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. You all have a great evening. And where do you want me to leave this?
Just
You're going to leave it with the chief?
Oh,
Chief,
yeah,
okay.
there you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Come on forward. Oh, all right.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Jennifer Zach, and I did provide my name on the speaker form. I'm sure that a few members of the council are not very happy to see me here tonight because I am the one who made the Facebook post detailing how Dayton got flock cameras. In that post, I explained that I had chosen to remain anonymous due to safety concerns. However, Councilmember Solonic repeatedly identified me by name in the comments, so my identity is no longer anonymous. Since that decision has already been made for me, I'm here tonight to speak to you directly. At this point, I think it's clear that many residents are concerned not only about the cameras themselves, but about the process used to install them. The question now is, what is this council going to do about those concerns? What is this council going to do about the fact that Dayton's EDA chair sent text messages to a member of law enforcement advocating for surveillance that targeted low-income residents? What is this council going to do about the growing number of reports from across the country documenting flock cameras being misused, incorrectly identifying innocent people, or resulting in data being shared with outside agencies in ways that raise serious privacy concerns? I would also like to address Mr. Solonic's social media statements that misinformation is being spread. I certainly cannot speak for other residents, but in my post specifically, I was very careful to only state facts, and I included the source of those facts. If Mr. Solonic or anyone else on the council believes that the information I shared is incorrect, I welcome you to provide evidence to support your claims. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge the broader context in which this conversation is taking place in our community. Across the country and here in Minnesota, actions by the current administration and particularly Operation Metro Surge have caused many people to pay closer attention to government decisions, transparency, and accountability. Residents are asking more questions, expecting more openness, and holding public officials accountable for their actions. That shouldn't be viewed as a problem because it's a fundamental part of how democracy works. And if any member of this council is not prepared for residents to ask questions and to treat residents with respect when questions are asked, then they should probably reconsider whether or not they wish to seek re-election to this council. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come on. Yep.
Hi. My name is Stephanie. I'm from Grandstrom Circle. I wanted to start with one of the things that comes to my mind when I think of Dayton and the sense of community. I think of neighbors showing up for each other when we are, just like we are doing here today, celebrating each other's milestones and looking out for each other when someone needs help. This is what gives Dayton its unique quality of community. I value this. If we as a community can only make it clear that differing opinions and perspectives are okay to have, then I think we would be doing ourselves a great service for each other. Everyone in this room has space at this table to speak. Whether you share my opinions or not, there is room for you. There is room for all. I would like to think that we are all here today because we care. Community input matters, even if the input doesn't match your opinions. Building a sense of community is done by building a sense of trust and welcoming everyone to this table. With that said, I have concerns regarding the process which flock cameras have been implemented in our city. When public initiatives roll out without clear, open process, it naturally creates confusion and uncertainty. This lack of clarity can cause us to lose the vital sense of community and connection that makes Dayton such a wonderful place to live. I'm not here to be disruptive. I'm here to understand. I'm looking for transparency in this matter so I can bridge the gap of understanding and move forward. Please help me to understand the camera implementation process better and provide information necessary to restore complete transparency for the residents of Dayton. I have included, I have this letter here. I'm not going to read it.
That's good.
I'll save you guys that. I thank you for reviewing it. I appreciate it. Should I give this to you or?
Yep.
Whoever's
Okay.
collecting.
Thank you.
goodies.
Thank you.
Maybe Marty wants to start collecting. Thank you. Come on forward.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'd like to speak to a couple related items. First, in regards to item L on the agenda regarding Ordinance
Can we
2026-13.
get your name and address for the?
Oh, sorry,
Thank
yep.
you.
Eric Suppolt, 11534 Brayburn Trail.
So this is open forum.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't address things that are on the agenda. But,
I can make a comment towards it, though, correct?
no, not now, but when
we
the
do it.
item, when we talk about the item,
Then you can.
then you can.
Okay, well,
It's just a thing.
but it's not a public hearing, so for that item.
I know,
Just wanted to
but
verify.
usually if somebody wants to come up and talk about something, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, I'll talk about the next related part then. Related to the same table of uses that you'll see come up at that point, and I spoke to this at the commission, planning commission too, as recommended by staff. There's rumor that Sundance Golf Course plans to install lights on their driving range. I do not know the validity of this rumor, to what extent it would be if pursued, and it simply may be a rumor, but I want to be proactive in holding all parties accountable to applicable city code. The original driving range was not lighted. The plans included in the approved preliminary plot for Sundance Greens did not include the driving range, which has now been designed in a reconfigured location. That table of uses lists commercial recreation use as requiring a CUP, which a lighted driving range seems to fit the definition of most appropriately. Therefore, a CUP would seem necessary over a simple permit, given the new operational aspect previously not existent or factored into the allowed use. Given the PUD overlay zoning on it, it alternatively may be appropriate for a PUD amendment, be required given the significant change in the operational standard, namely extending outdoor entertainment beyond dusk. I just am simply respectfully requesting that council be attentive to this and to coordinate with staff to ensure handling of such plans or permit requests comply with the city code, should such plans come forward. Lastly, I want to point out there is a public hearing taking place at next week's Planning Commission regarding a few elements related to Sundance Greens, one being a relocated maintenance building. This public hearing, as you may know, was initiated in March with subsequent tabling, et cetera. I'm not sure at this point when it would come before council, but I imagine sooner than later. As a courtesy, I'd like to make sure you're aware that there was also a public comment received at both the March and July public hearings, along with resident letters included in each of those meeting packets. I appreciate the awareness and review of the relevant testimony when the time comes for council to deliberate. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you. Anybody else open, come forward? Nope. Wanted, okay. That's okay.
Eyes on the back of my head. Hi, my name is Monica. I emailed some of you, but I have just, actually all of you. But I have some different comments here, kind of in addition to what I had said. I put my address on there, but it's 14910 126th Avenue North. I want to start by saying I deeply appreciate every past and present mayor, city council member, committee members, people who dedicate part of their time to do hard and often thankless work. I appreciate the others who work for us citizens in the office, our police, our fire departments, everyone in this room. So I want that to be clear. That being said, when perhaps a process or communication possibly broke down, I think it's good to consider it and see if any improvements could be made. Especially with our very fast and increasingly technology-filled world, city issues can come up quicker, circumstances can change quicker. Being diligent about vetting before decisions are made and boosting chains of communication becomes even more important. As we know, the AI camera systems fall into this newer technology, fast-paced world, and also in a time when security and access of the data that it might collect becomes a citizen concern. I was curious how these became because of, I could be wrong, but I think one of the newer city council members wasn't aware they were up. It kind of, they were approved, and then new council members came on board. So when I went back and looked at the 3/19/24 EDA meeting, there were a lot of great conversations and questions like, do we have more than $50,000 a year stolen from businesses here? Which would be a question on like the budget. One wanted to know more about the technology. One said maybe we can evaluate it after a couple of years and see if indeed crime did decrease. One said let's start slow, only a few cameras. In the end, it seemed to be that there was a vote that it was a recommendation from the EDA to get the flat cameras. And in subsequent city council meetings, I don't know if those concerns or questions ever made it to the council. So that's just an opportunity for possible feedback. I don't know how it normally goes, but perhaps are there thoughts that the votes should be in writing, so that we know, or the recommendation is in writing, so that when it's passed on, those kinds of things are passed on. Also, I would ask a special consideration now that we have, hindsight is 2020, because obviously there have been issues now with some of these AI cameras. So, let's take a new look. Now that it has been 2 years, let's look at how they are doing. Can we do a complete review of them? Can we pull the audit reports to show where Dayton data has been accessed and by who? Because some cities have been had data pulled without even knowing it. Fridley is one, and they had their meeting last night, city council meeting. Can we have a complete and independent look outside of FLOC, not the FLOC representative, outside of that, on potential infringement concerns? This might be our lawyer. Can we have a public forum to invite public comment? Because there are a lot of people who have opinions or thoughts on it. And can we consider not putting it into the next year's budget until those things are accomplished? So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Hello, my name is Laura Corbel. I live at 12171 Dayton River Road. I want to raise a concern about how Councilmember Salanek has been engaging with constituents on the local community Facebook group.
Ma'am, I don't think we need to be getting into Facebook in a city meeting. If you have a problem with that Facebook page, you can talk to the administrator. But that forum isn't intended to directly attack people.
Okay, but I'm talking about directly a council member's conduct, engaging with community.
If this was, say, during a city meeting or during a city event, I think that would be relevant. Well, I don't want to get into this debate, but if you have any information to give us, that's fine. But if you're going to just...
Where can I submit screenshots and documentation?
Staff, I guess, but I'm not sure what your goal is here. If your goal is just to attack some member of the council?
No, it's not to attack. It's about putting himself out there as a council member representing the city, and how is he interacting with people that are responding to him.
Okay.
I'm going to address that. First, what I say on Facebook is my opinion. It's not the opinion of this council, it's mine.
Okay.
But we can chat, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I guess if you have a problem with an individual on this council, I
I
would
was
talk to
thinking if
them.
he's commenting as personal, he shouldn't be pointing to the fact that he's a council member, because then it looks more like he's speaking for the city.
So we've had these discussions in the past. If you're not at a city meeting or some city event, the assumption is you are a resident.
Okay. Does the council have any kind of policy on council members' social engagement?
Not really. State statute covers some of that. There's nothing the city can do to an elected official.
Okay. Well, I guess that's all I have.
So, yeah, I guess I would encourage you to talk to that member.
That hasn't gotten me very far.
Does anybody else have anything here related to city business? Anybody online?
We do have a few people online. If you wanted to speak in open forum, if you can use the raise your hand function. Not seen any.
Nobody? And nobody else? All right, we will move on to staff consultant council updates. Zach?
Yep, good evening, Mayor, members of council. Couple updates quickly. Update for the council regarding the packet. We have found a solution for SharePoint, and we are creating a communications site. So we had the wrong type of site set up in SharePoint. It's about as fun as you'd think it would be. So we're accomplishing what we're trying to do for packets. That is in the works, so we hopefully will have that process. I just want to make sure the council is being updated that you've made comments and suggestions to staff. We are listening. It just takes longer than we anticipated. And then I also let you all know that I will be out of the office starting this Friday through next week, enjoying some time off with vacation. I will not be available during this time at all, so if you need anything, please direct out to department heads. Otherwise, Amy will be in charge while I am out.
So we're gonna make all sorts of decisions without you.
That sounds great. Deal with it when I get back. Thank you.
Amy?
Just a reminder that for the primary election, voting is open here at City Hall for early voting. So that is office hours Monday through Friday, and then next Saturday we will be here from 9 to 3. So that is August 8th. That will be available for voting as well. That's all I have.
Marty?
I've got a couple of things here. Well 4 is back in production, so we're back up to a full quota of wells running, so that's good. You may have heard yesterday there was some SCADA service interruptions for cities around us. There was a number of those hit. We did have some interruptions to services, mainly in the sewer lift stations. 4 out of our 10 lift stations were affected. We also had a little bit of disruption with well 1 in the historic village, in as much as the chemical feed was interrupted, but luckily they didn't change the settings on the chloride feed, which is the most important one for the disinfection down there. Staff worked with our contractor, Total Controls, and we got all of the lift stations and well 1 back on normal service by 5 p.m. Yesterday. So it was just a general process, doing one at a time, and just changing some settings. At this time, I don't have a full idea of what caused this, but Total Controls is doing a full report of what occurred, future prevention. Not sure when this will be delivered, but I'm hoping it will be fairly soon. I'll keep you guys updated.
So what ended up happening with well 4? Did we swap out that?
Sorry, well 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, we swapped the pump out.
With a smaller?
Yeah, for the smaller pump.
And what did we do with the bigger pump?
That was pretty much destroyed, so that's why it was taken out.
I figured that.
Yeah.
I kind of gathered that from the get-go.
It's probably going to the scrap metal merchant now.
Does the motor do us any good? Something in the motor?
No, I don't think so. Not in the condition it was in. They couldn't refurbish it or do anything with it. That's one of the driving factors behind that decision. But the smaller pump is going to be the better solution anyway. Elsie Stevens canoe kayak launch, the contractor's been working down there for a couple of weeks now. Tree clearing and grubbing is complete. We had to take one additional tree out than we were expecting, but that shouldn't be a huge amount. We started, we will be installing the base that we're going to be putting, that's going to support all the structure going into the river. The dam around it has been built, and there's going to put the big steel tanks in there, and they'll have gravel put in, then compacted down, and then more gravel compacted down to support the structures going above those. They're hopefully starting to put those in tomorrow. With the picnic, with the shelter that's going in there, we've got the footings put in for those. We also have got the shelter on site, and the electrical conduit for the lighting in the structure is there as well, so they've run that. So that's where we're at with that at the moment. Recreation Department, since Derek Johnson joined us, he's been very busy, so I've got a few things that I'd like to talk about that he's putting on. We've got the ribbon cutting at the wellhead treatment plant on this Thursday, the 30th, from 1 o'clock till 2 o'clock. And then on Friday this week, we've got the first Dayton slip and slide at the Sledding Hill at River Hills development. August 3rd through 5th, we got a first mega sports camp from 9 to 12. That will be here at Brianna Scurry Park. Then through August, on the Mondays from the 10th of August to the 31st, there's lunch in the parks at various locations with different activities. For instance, backyard games, all things sports, and park bingo. And then we're hoping to start an adult beanbags league starting August the 10th through the 31st on, I think that's Mondays through August. There'll be more information on social media and on the city website as those things come through.
Chief?
No update tonight.
And Chief?
Evening, Mayor, members of the council. Just to let you know, today we had a Toward Zero Death Grant enforcement patrol in our city. So we had numerous officers from our agency and other grant agencies providing traffic enforcement in the city throughout the day, in case you got any calls or complaints.
That's why I seen 4 cars go by. I was wondering why we had so much staff on.
No updates.
No update, Mayor.
I've got a couple things. I'll do the Peachy Keen first.
What?
I'll do the Peachy Keen first. Riverfest, August 7th. Halfway there is the band. There'll be a car show tied in with that, 80s rock music. And then on September 2nd is Joe Flip. There'll be more information coming out on that. I'm really looking forward to that. You guys are going to love him. I've seen him up in St. Cloud, and absolutely incredible guitar playing. And now I will, and this is not a he said, she said, back and forth argue about, everybody's entitled to their opinion. What I did not care for about the post is it insinuates that the EDA chair is the driving force of getting flock and camp in the city of Dayton. He was the original person that brought it to the police department's attention, yes, without question. The other unfathomed talk out there is that council didn't get a chance to, I mean, it just happened because Tim wanted it. That is farthest from the truth. We talked about this thing many times before it actually was instituted. It went through the budget process. Originally, we were going to try 10 cameras because there are 10 in and outs to the city. We ended up on 6. PD ended up going to 7. There was enough funds there to get 7 cameras in the end. The big rumor is because Tim was involved, 3 cameras got put down on next to Balsam Lane. The only reason, there's 2 cameras down there, not 3. And the only reason they're down there is because South Diamond Lake Road and the River Road are a couple miles wide on our west end, and they're a couple hundred yards wide on our east end. That's the only reason there's 2 cameras there. And the 3-point that was totally taken out of contents is in I think it was March 19th, Zach made a comment that a company, I believe their name was Street Sense or Street something,
Safewise.
they put out a study for whoever. I'm not sure who the study was for, but there was 4 cities listed as the safest cities, 1, 2, 3, 4. And Dayton was listed as the 3rd safest city of vicious crimes. Meaning murder, I would assume assault, rape. I don't know how they categorize them all, but if you look on that 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's all the cities that were listed on what we seen. Dayton was number 1 or number 4 on property crime. So in my opinion, that in one study, yes, Dayton was listed as the 3rd safest, but that is by no means written in stone, Holy God Bible, that it's just some company that put out a report, and that's what he was quoting. So I think that was taken way out of context. As far as the whole flock thing, I have no problem if we go and revisit it, the thing, where we get some statistics on what it's done for us. Yes, there's been issues with flock. There's issues with everything. Doesn't matter what it is. And that's where I stand on it. There's just a couple main points that I did not think were correct.
Sarah?
Just a second to vote. If you're like me, sometimes you're not happy with your choices in November for every option. And the primary is your chance to have a say in that. So please, please, please vote in the primary, please. Second, our Elm Creek watershed representative, I can go to the August meeting, the August 12th meeting, but then I am out because I have a day job. And so I hope we are making progress towards finding a representative. Okay, I'm seeing nods. I hope that means yes, there is actually a body that will show up at the September meeting.
Mayor, members of council, you will be able to approve an applicant for the
Cool.
meeting on the,
Nice.
it's August 13th is the actual council meeting, so
Okay.
there'll be an approval for that person at that meeting.
Okay, excellent. So, thank you.
We have at least one application.
Hey, that's good. I mean, it's fine. I think it's important for our city to be there and represented, and I just can't do it during the school year. And so,
We encourage anybody else who's interested in that to send an application, and so it's not just one person, because voting for one is an easy vote, but it's always best to have.
it's nice to have a choice, but at this point, I need somebody.
Yep.
We need somebody.
One's better than zero.
One's
We
better
love
than
it.
zero.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That salt paper you sent out was pretty interesting. Is that something that, I mean, I didn't see anything absolute that we could implement there in code, but it seemed like there was some
Mayor and
pretty
council.
straightforward ideas.
Yeah, they were great ideas, and appreciate Councilmember Van Asten sending that out, because it's something that came from the watershed, and it's good information to know for when we're planning stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can implement anything in planning aspect of things. If we can, we will most certainly look into those things, because if it makes sense planning-wise to use less salt and be better with logistics and not spend money for everybody, I mean, it's a win-win-win. and
Yeah.
No losses, so we can do that, but if we can't, at least it's good planning aspect of things.
So Plymouth and Maple Grove, so for people who are this came up at the last meeting, I was given at the Elm Creek watershed thing a low salt design checklist for builders to think about when they're planning buildings. And we shared it out with everyone, planning commission and council members. Currently, that document is being piloted by the cities of Plymouth and Maple Grove. Maple Grove for sure, maybe. Well, there's 2 cities, Maple Grove and
Yep.
somebody else. I
It's
think
Plymouth.
Plymouth. What they have done is they haven't built it into code, but they give that checklist to anyone coming through and just say, if you can adopt some of these, great. And they have gotten nothing but positive feedback. It's not a you have to do all of them. It's not even you have to do it is, at the end of the day, it saves people money, and everyone likes to save money. So it's been really well received when they give it to people. So it's more just a checklist that they hand to anyone coming to the planning at any stage, and then something, as council and planning commission just to look at and ask some of those questions, like how are you thinking about where you're storing your snow in winter? How are you thinking about, are you unintentionally making a snow fence that you, with your shrubs, and now you have to plow twice as much, so things like that. But anyway, that I learned at the Elm Creek Watershed District meeting, so someone else can go and learn. Something good came from it. But they've been interesting, and so far they've fed me at both meetings, so I don't know if that is, there's been pizza. I've only gone to 2, so I don't know if this is an always thing, but so I'm 2 for 2 on pizza, so, you know, if that gets you there, have some free pizza, I guess. So those are my things. Thank you.
I have nothing. Dave?
I've got 3 things, actually. One is a question for our attorney. I was on the League of Minnesota Cities website and looking at something else, but I came across this where they make the statement that cities cannot prohibit or restrict e-bike operation. And so that was a bit of a surprise to me. I know we're going to have more conversations about e-bikes in general, but I'd like to understand at some point what our limitations are in implementing rules around that.
Mayor, Council, I can look into that. I don't know off the top of my head, but I will give an update to Zach.
Yes, thank you. The second thing I came across is that actually timely because a couple of people had asked me about emerald ash borer and what, if anything, the city can do about it. I referred them to our forester. But I also came across this, that the DNR is offering $1.7 million in community grants to address the impact of emerald ash borer. Applications for that grant open August 3rd. It's called a Protect Community Forest Grant. It's the maximum award to any city is $150,000, but it seems like there's pretty wide latitude in how that money gets used. It can be used for removing dead trees, treating and replacing trees, a plan, in inventory, etc. So maybe you're already aware of that, and I'm just talking to the choir here, but that opens August 3rd and closes September 14th, so it seems like something we ought to pursue.
Yeah, Councilor Fashion, Marty and I are on it,
that
so
one.
yeah, we will make sure to apply.
Pretty much got $100,000.
Yes, great. I was hoping I didn't discover that first, but I just wanted to bring it up.
Thank you for bringing it up. I appreciate it.
Third thing is we're all talking about flock, and you know, I'm sorry I'm not touching the Facebook stuff with a 10-foot pole on this. I don't think it's a good forum for us to be communicating. I'm not chastising you, Scott. You do what you want. It doesn't work for me, but I do want to respond to some things that I've read and heard here, and so I'm just going to read this statement. In 2024, the City Council reviewed the flock system for inclusion in the 2025 budget as a part of the normal process. For myself, I felt I understood the technology and the police department supported it over other cuts we made to their budget requests, so it was approved as a part of the overall budget. While this was only 2 years ago, things have changed dramatically. For one, our understanding of the use of AI was quite different at that time versus the hyper-paced advancement that is going on today. Additionally, immigration enforcement looks entirely different today than it did 2 years ago. Also, data security has taken on increased meaning when it comes to this kind of technology. For myself, I worry much less about a system that knows when my car left and returned to Dayton than I do about our phones that track and sell far more information about us than just our location. I am, however, concerned that this is government surveillance and therefore needs to be viewed differently. With the high levels of public mistrust of government at all levels that we are experiencing currently, I believe we should take another look at the costs, not just dollars, and benefits of this system. I've asked the police department to provide us with a report showing utilization of this system and how it has benefited the community. This system has been in place long enough now for us to show how and how often it has been used to a collective benefit. I look forward to seeing the data. We are currently in the process of developing the 2027 budget, so this looks like a good time to look at it and decide if the value is worth the risk and consequences of a system like this. Thank you. That's all I got.
All right.
Okay, well, I wasn't going to have an update or say anything, but I feel like I need to. Like, I guess first I just want to say, like, I appreciate, you know, the mayor, like, the purpose of this, open forum is to, like, talk about things that we can change or influence. But on the flip side of that, I do think that it's unfair to not address conduct, especially of those on this, this board, if you will, but like we're allowed to address it, and so like that kind of bothers me on, you know, like a personal level. But I, you know, also recognizing that this may not be the appropriate avenue, forum, place to have that discussion, but there needs to be one. And so I guess if nothing else, policing Facebook and social media, and is this me talking, is this just a citizen, is this someone on the board, like I don't know, we've had this kind of battle before of like, when do you take off the hat, when do you not, are you ever not who you are here? And so like I understand that that's very muddy, and I appreciate like wanting to kind of keep those things a little bit separate, because we cannot, you know, police the nation, police all of it. But I do believe that we should hold ourselves to a high standard, and that if we're not specifically addressing that, we're not speaking as so-and-so. So I stay off of Facebook as well, and I like don't comment, and because how do you know that's me, or do you know that that's me as a council member? And so I guess I would just encourage, it's Laura, right? To send something to the council, to the city, to Zach, if nothing else, because it matters. The conduct matters, and the way that we present ourselves matter. And not that I'm saying that Scott did anything wrong. I'm trying to stay off in a way, like with 10-foot pole as well from Facebook. But I do think there needs to be an avenue to address those things, and to be able to say that, hey, like this chair of this commission, this whatever, whoever it is, nobody's untouchable, in my opinion. And so I guess I would just encourage you to send an email to say something, because if nothing else, maybe it opens up a door for you and Scott to have a conversation. I don't know what that looks like, but again, I just want to make sure that we're not like shutting the door on people, and I don't believe that was Dennis's intention. Just trying to keep the integrity of the board, what open forum is for. But again, just wanting to reiterate, I feel like I'm rambling, but that there has to be some avenue to do that. And so I hear you, and I guess that's my piece. Sorry. Also, everything David said about having some more data would be really helpful to understand like what Flock has done for the community, what you can share, obviously, would be really helpful to understand, you know, how we're implementing it, and also, you know, what are we getting for this service, and you know, is the juice worth the squeeze kind of a thing. And I'm off my soapbox, so thank you. That's it.
All right, we are on to item E.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item E is Ordinance 2026-11, a moratorium or interim ordinance for site plan review. Just to give a little bit of background, and we had a couple of projects of non-residential projects that were up against residential, in which the case there was objections from the adjacent residents that this project is too close. And so the council kind of had a discussion that we should have a further discussion. Maybe we should adopt a moratorium and figure it out. Timing being what it was, we had the Council and Planning Commission had a work session earlier today about one item, and we had some time, and so we also discussed this item, and I believe we have a plan. So Planning Commission held a public hearing at its July 9th meeting, and did recommend denial against the adopting a moratorium. Staff has also recommended denial. The reason why is we do believe that we have a solution to it, and we can come up with this fairly quickly. It's a short version. If the council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Again, and Cynthia will have to correct me, because this involves residentially zoned property, the council is required to have a public hearing, and that's required by state statute.
Given the discussion in the work session, do we need the moratorium?
That's an answer for the
I mean, my vote is no. Like, we had a thought process, we've learned more, and this is not gonna be the solution we thought it was gonna be. So my vote is no. This isn't, we had goals, and we thought this was the way to reach those goals, and it's not. So then,
But do we still have to have the
Public hearing, yes.
public hearing, yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, but I just
I'm
think, for the public's sake, I mean, my vote at this point is no, so.
Also, in that same vein of like, for the public's sake, I don't want to, maybe you can reiterate what was discussed at the meeting and what, in lieu of doing the moratorium, what we have talked about and what we've decided? Because for those that
Valid,
didn't watch the work session, they may be in the dark of us saying, oh yeah, we found a solution, but we're not actually saying the solution.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Sorry, could you reiterate it in?
So again, the big wide picture is that non-residential uses, so in the picture here, we have industrial and retail is too close to residential. In having a discussion at the work session, we kind of defined the problem a little bit more, that this is specific to the general mixed-use district on Balsam Lane, which right now affects 2 vacant properties. And so we went from a citywide problem to a 2-property problem, which makes it a lot easier to identify what the problem is and the potential solution to that. And so right now the code, this is again specific to Balsam Lane, there's a minimum building setback of 20 feet from I'm going to say from the rear property line, and a minimum setback of 5 feet for the parking lot. I think the direction that we're going to go is 20 feet for the building and 20 feet for parking. The soonest that this could come back to the Plan Commission and Council would be at the September meetings. So once again, the problem was defined as very broad citywide, and now it's very, very narrow.
Thank you.
Very good.
And the original issue was when residential bumps up against non-residential. But like you said, it turns out there's not that many places where, well, there are, but there's only one spot where it's a bigger problem. So for residents who weren't at the work session.
Okay, well, I can open up, are we done with questions with staff? Okay, I'll open up a public hearing for this. Anybody here to speak to item E? Nobody. Anybody online?
If you wanted to speak in the
Somebody? Okay.
public hearing, if you could use the raise your hand function.
You can move forward.
I'm not seeing any.
Okay.
Hey, Duck Lady again. I wasn't expecting to come back up to ask questions, but I had questions about that.
And your address? Name and address.
Grandstrom, Stephanie Carroll. I have a question about that. I don't necessarily think that a moratorium is helpful. However, I do think that there could be maybe some restrictions or some sort of, I just have a bunch of questions about what current restrictions are in place right now that define what type of buildings can and cannot be in those mixed-use zoning areas.
It's a long answer.
It's a question.
Stephanie, I'm going to suggest if you're, we'd be, John and I'd be happy to sit down with you
Okay.
and talk about things. If
Well, you
have
don't just
questions,
sit down with me, just email me.
Well, we want to make sure your questions are addressed, and unfortunately, this is probably not the best forum, because most of
Yeah.
the council, they look at the code and they know the code and such, but John and I are in the code almost every day.
Okay,
to verify
yeah.
things, and we could probably answer them
Okay.
maybe more thoroughly.
Okay,
and then
I'll send
can-
you an email.
Yes, we're happy to address
I just had
those.
some questions,
No,
that's all.
that's great.
All right,
And if I can
thank
give you a
you.
5-second answer, so the general
love
mixed
5-second
use district is intended for a mix of uses, whether it's residential or commercial. Some of them allow light industrial. They're all intended to be compatible with residential uses.
Okay. I'll try to unjarble all that jargon in my head later. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we will close the public hearing.
We can't vote to deny though, correct? We just have to not vote to, we just have to not approve it?
No motion.
No motion.
No motion, 3 times?
So I'm going to look, Mayor and Council, I'm going to look at the attorney. Only reason I say that is because the item on the agenda does not say approval for, it just says moratorium. So there's no actual action, it's essentially saying consideration. And so your action of denial or approval is
Okay.
actually the motion.
So we
of it.
can
But
deny.
I'm going to look at the attorney to confirm that.
You don't have to take any action.
Yeah, we
Okay.
have to.
Okay.
I like those ones.
So is there
need to
any
All three
want for a
times and that's it.
motion?
I'd just like to make one comment for
Go ahead.
clarification, kind of, because, you know, not a lot of people come to the work sessions, although they are open meetings. So I think us leaning toward not doing this moratorium doesn't mean we're not planning to do something with this. We just don't
Right.
feel like we need a moratorium to come to a solution, which will cause some changes in the code probably, but outside of a moratorium. So I just want to make sure that that was clear.
Yeah, because the moratorium would be the entire city, and the issue is not the entire city, so, which is why we came to this.
Okay, then we are on to item G. Who's got that? Oh,
Yeah, Mayor and Council, item F was removed off the agenda, so. item
oh
B.
yeah.
Mayor, Council, I'm Cynthia Kirkhoff, the city attorney. Just thought I'd introduce myself to everyone. I just wanted to clarify the caption name is not really about condemnation. It's about Chapter 463 actions, which relate to hazardous buildings. I just wanted to clarify that for the audience, too. Okay, so Zach is going to control the PowerPoint, because I'm not trusted with that, right?
I got you.
Just to give you an overview of this process, it's a statute, and it really establishes how the city council can order a property owner to remove or repair a hazardous building or hazardous condition. And also, if after the property owner is ordered to take action, they don't do it, the city can do it, incur the costs, and then levy special assessments against the property. But the bottom line is, though, the district court may be involved in this, so there could potentially be a court action. So that the district court would oversee, for example, how much cost the city incurred and how that could be specially assessed against the property. I just thought I'd note that the state building code does contemplate how to repair or remove hazardous buildings, so that the building official is very important to this whole process. Next slide, please. So, believe it or not, there have been a lot of court cases about hazardous buildings. These are just some examples of what Minnesota courts have found to be hazardous. As a building is unoccupied, if there's foundation problems, siding problems, roof, has a hole in it, or is leaking, windows that are broken, and then a lot of, like there's a hole in the roof, there's a lot of debris in the building, things that are very, not minimal, they're very large. I guess they're detraction from the neighboring properties. Next slide, please. These are just, the following 3 slides are just pictures of something that is considered hazardous. This is a picture of a commercial building, and it's just a comparison between, a 5-year gap of there's some damage to the roof of the building. Oh, I do have, I didn't put it in the slides, but another commercial building that I actually worked on a 463 action for another municipal client where there were large holes in the roof of the building because there was a fire. And I helped the city with that just this past year, and the building has been demolished, and we didn't have to go to court. So that was a good thing. Next slide, please. This is just a picture just to show, like, this is a hazardous condition where there's a hole in the roof, and there's a lot of debris and other things. And I think the main point here is, that I wanted to make is someone could get access to this building and could get in and get hurt. So, and then this is just a picture of missing windows, and then a deck is failing. But the hazardous condition, there's more pictures. Do you want to jump in with this one, City
Yep.
Administrator?
So, Mayor and Council, I want to touch base on what this all started with, is we've had a number of complaints about a couple of properties, and I want to provide examples of these, of things that we're seeing throughout the community that we are looking to have direction for, which is why we've tasked Cynthia with kind of giving us some information related to this. This is a property that's on Robinson Street. The Historic Village has been this way for many, many years. We've had many complaints about it from police activity and such. And it's kind of hidden a little bit with the trees, and you can't really see it from the roadway, but I did take some more in-depth photos, and this is something that we'd look for the council to give us direction on. What would you like to do with this? And again, it's more or less because of the hazardous portion of it, and people are sneaking in, and there's injuries and whatnot. Same thing is true right across the street with the house that was intended, I think, to be rebuilt, but they never made it that far. They made it without code, or did not make the 6-month rebuild time frame. They're aware of this. We've been in contact with them. They're maintaining the grass to at least keep it to not have nuisance weeds and grass, but the basement still exists, and that's a hazardous condition we want to make sure is addressed. They did at least put snow fencing around it after we did ask them to do that, just because of the concerns that we have related to public safety. But again, it's another concern that we have from the council. And this is the other one we have. We have a burned down house that's being left and has been burned down for a while now. We are working with the homeowner. They are trying to work with us. It's just more or less is the council wanting to have us do it faster than what we're currently doing with it, just continue to work with homeowners as best we can. At some point, we need to tell them, hey, we need to get this cleaned up so it's of the public, basically safety issues. There's also rodents and stuff like that that can be hazardous as well. So I'm going to hand it back to Cynthia, but I can go to any one of the current examples. The one that we mainly got a complaint on is actually currently being fixed. So that was a pleasant surprise when I went around to see that house is being reconstructed, and we look forward to having that one back.
What
up and
area
operational. So
of the city is this?
that one, that is on Teakwood.
Oh. All right. So it's not like it's,
These ones are these are the ones that we've gotten complaints on. The other one is only an example of what I'm talking about with those kind of burn down, like Cynthia
I guess,
mentioned. Those type of
from my
buildings.
standpoint, I think as long as we can work with the property owner, even if they're making slow moves, I don't know how, if that one downtown has been, like you said, it's been like that for, and I don't know, does anybody even communicate with the property owner?
They have had contact with them, but it's
okay.
been a while. But we have not pushed it either because of, this is the part of bringing this forward to Cynthia's. We've never brought this forward to council for direction because it's always been, we'll just get with that later, we'll deal with later. And eventually enough laters, we got to try to deal with it and get some direction. So that's why we're here today. And I'll hand it back to Cynthia for any additional stuff. But those are the couple of examples of the council's perspective that city staff is dealing with and complaints and wants to get council's direction on.
Thank you. So there's really 3 steps or 3 people that are involved in this 463 process. The first step, or the first person, is the building official. The building official is really the person that determines whether, or gives the facts to the council, where the council makes the determination that the building is hazardous or there's a hazardous condition. The building official will go out and conduct an investigation, and they'll take notes and take pictures that are given to the council. Next slide, please.
How do they get onto the property?
Well, that's my next slide.
Sorry.
So either the building official can get consent to access the property, and they'd have to look inside to see if there's, hazardous conditions. But if they don't, the city would have to get an administrative search warrant. And that search warrant needs to be signed by a judge. And to execute the search warrant, we would recommend that the owner's representative be there, the building official, whatever city staff needs to be there to look at the various code violations, and then public safety. So here's just I just wanted to give you some examples of some of the things that were listed in an inspection report. And this was for a commercial building. It can range from, there's no water, the bathrooms are really bad, the heating, cooling doesn't work, there's, holes in the walls, there's a hazardous electrical panel, debris, mold, And the debris sometimes is brought in by other people, or it's because the roof collapses, or things were just left there because the building is actually vacant. So I just wanted to point out that's the type of detail that you would want in the inspection report, and pictures of these things as well. So I kind of got ahead of myself, but the building official report is inspection notes, the pictures, but past code violations. If the city has contacted the property owner about violations, if the property owner has done anything to remedy those violations, that should be added. And then any other information that's helpful for the council to know that's documented. It's very important that this is a detailed report because at some point in time it may be filed with court. So you want to note if there was a fire or any other damage to the house or to the property. So the second person, you're not a person but a group, or second step is that if the property owner is not taking action to remedy the violations, then at some point in time it would be brought to the council. And the council would make the determination that based on the facts, based on the report from the building official, that the property is hazardous, or that there's a hazardous condition on the property. So that would be presented to council at a public meeting. And in that packet, there would be a cover memo. And it would explain, what's been going on with the property, and explain the 463 process. And then as part of that packet, there would be a proposed order. And in that order, it would be essentially a resolution. It would list all of the violations, all the contact the city's had with the property owner, and reference state law. And in that order, the council would give the property owner the direction to either repair a hazardous condition or remove or raise the building. And in that order, the council would set forth the timeline. So it's for you to determine when they have to take action. Next slide, please. I got ahead of myself again.
That's okay.
Just keep talking. So at the council meeting, the council will review the report, and that resolution that is approved by the council is the order. So, for example, if it's a single-family home that is not in good, a hazardous condition, and the building official feels like it could be repaired within 30 days, then your order could say they have to act within 30 days. But if it's something more extensive, then you would get to decide how long they have to take action.
If it's January and you're like, okay, you're not going to do it right now, but still we'll give you until summer or something. Okay.
Yep. So the number of days is really dictated by the council, and it's based on the facts. Next slide, please. And then the third person, or the third step, is the city attorney may get involved if the property owner doesn't take action after that order is served on them. They technically have time to answer the order, kind of like a lawsuit, where they can object saying, no, my property is not hazardous, or that they contact the city with a plan of action. At that point in time, if they get the problem solved, and I just put 30 days, and here's a good example, then if they have it repaired or the building demolished and the staff is satisfied that everything has been remedied, then that's the end of the story. The problem is solved. If they don't take any action, they don't respond to the complaint within 20 days, then after the time has lapsed that the council gave the property owner, the city attorney would ask the court file a motion for what's called the default judgment, and we'd ask the judge, the property owner has not taken any action, they have not answered the order, can you please award us summary or default judgment and allow us to demolish the structure or repair it, and then after those costs are incurred by the city, be specially assessed against the property. So the judge has to do that. And then after that point in time, if that's what happens, the city takes the action, incurs the costs, then we would have to submit those costs to court, and then they would decide how much can be specially assessed against the property. So the court is involved at that point in time. If the owner files an answer to the order. State law says it follows like a civil litigation, there's a trial. And since Levander, Gillen, and Miller's been doing these actions over the past, probably 20 years, we've done like 50 of them, there's only one that's gone to trial. And I think it settled before it actually had gone to trial, so. Next slide, please. Questions?
So, to clarify, we've got a few problem properties, and you're just kind of looking, historically, we just haven't really done anything at all. And are you just kind of looking for permission to maybe be more actively pursuing the property owners and more actively seeking out a resolution?
Councilor Van Assen, great question. That's very accurate. The reason for that is because we've been hesitant, not knowing the direction of the council based on, other comments made about property rights and legal actions and whatnot, trying to, and we have other things that we're doing too, so it's not like it's been the top focus, but since we've gotten some complaints about these, we already aware of them. It's not like they're not known. It's just that we don't know where the council stands on these kind of actions because we are aware of, I'm aware and keenly aware of most of the council's feelings and thoughts on things, and I try to take those into basis when we're making decisions on a day-to-day basis for operations-wise. So, and that's why I'm here today, is because I don't think any one of the city staff enjoys going through this process. It's not a fun process for anybody, but also we want to make sure that everyone has an equal, fair, process with the properties. Is that if that property's next to yours, it's likely bringing down the value of your own property, and if you're looking to sell, then there's other issues and problems. So it's a code thing and whatnot.
Abandoned properties are not safe.
Yep.
I mean, they're just not, because people will squat in them, people will do things in them, and it's more burden on our police and our fire. So, I mean, in my mind,
I can go back to the pictures if you'd like to see them, just because those are the three, and there was four, but the fourth one is being
like that one in
corrected without even-
particular. That one needs to be dealt with, in my mind.
To me, the two on Robinson, part of being a hazard to me is proximity to
others,
kids, really.
Sure.
And I know that that's being explored routinely. There's one across the street that you could easily have a kid run through the yard in the middle of the night and boom. The one on Teal, I'm not so hung up on. I don't know,
Sure.
Plus that, was that last summer? I mean, I know the one across the street here was also last summer, but that's in proximity to a lot of kids. So I can see that as being a real hazard. Go ahead.
I just have a question, I hear the ask that Sarah had said, but in there also, is there maybe a little bit, correct me if I'm wrong, of how much progress is enough progress to show that something's being done? Because what you're saying here is that you've talked to property owners and things are being done, but how much progress shows that something's being done and we're not kind of dragging?
Correct. Yeah, there can be 3 steps forward and then 4 steps backwards, and then 3 steps forward sometimes, and maybe it's 2 steps backwards. So we might end up at square one. But yeah, I mean that's part of the process too, is learning and trying to. And we try to, as staff, always try to work with people as best we can. That's our main goal amongst myself and all the department heads. We always try to work with people if we can to try to figure out if we can make it work. Sometimes you just can't, and we just got to say, no, that's not going to work, and we got to make forward. But I think your question is a valid one of, at what point is no progress being made if we've tried to address it, it's gone backward and forward. And
Seems to me that's, you address that in the action plan, that you put milestones and dates or timeframes around accomplishing those various steps, and then that's that interaction between you and the property owner to agree on what's reasonable and what's possible for them.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that would be my.
We've never made it to that step ever, so I just want to make sure that's clear. That
and it seems like there's a lot of room in the process where there can be some negotiation of this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going, or this is what I'm working on, this is what needs to be done, and so I guess want to make sure that it's stated that we're not, I don't think, looking to just be pull the trigger today.
You got 30 days and it better all be fixed.
Exactly, because again, everyone's, very individual for ability to do those things, or like the condition and what we're actually talking about.
Well, and also the weather, like, depending on what happens, if like
Correct.
my house burns down in
December?
December, I can't, there's some things I just can't do in January, right?
Correct.
So like, I don't want to set a blanket, everyone gets 30 days period, but I think it is reasonable to Stephanie's point, when you reach the property owner, have reasonable timeframes based on what the damage is, what the time of the year is, you get this much time to do it, and if they don't meet it, then I would say I would back the city staff in taking the next step in the process, right? Like, if you set reasonable timelines and the our property owners are not meeting those reasonable timelines, and you want to move on the next step in that process, I would support that.
I have a kind of in the same.
Or conversation.
Yeah, I have like a, right along with you here, a question. The building official, that would be like Metro West?
That's Metro West, yes.
Exclusively, or is there interaction with like the fire department? Like, who else is involved, or is it strictly just the building official comes in and says, these are the hazards?
Generally, it's the building official that writes a report, but certainly the other departments would have, if there's a code violation of a code that they enforce, that would be important to put in the report and provide that to council.
And I think this also goes back to what the mayor was saying about location kind of matters, right? Like, if I'm a fire hazard and I'm in the historic village where we have, 0-foot setbacks, in some cases, like, that's very different than if I'm on, 30 acres all by myself and I'm nowhere near any neighbors. Like, there's definitely, I want a property by property assessment, but I think, work with them, get some timelines. If the property owners are not meeting those timelines, then come back to council. We can start this process, and I would support moving forward.
I have one more question. Looking at these pictures, we can.
I go to that low. It's done.
Yeah,
I didn't even focus on
no,
that.
No, I didn't think you did. But looking at these pictures, like, we can clearly, I think that's a blanket statement. I don't know how else to phrase it, so I'm going to. There's clearly hazards here, right? Like, we can look at them. I am not a building official. I do not have those credentials. I've never done that. I'm just saying, like, I can look at that and go, yeah, like, I could see where someone could get hurt or something could happen. My question is, if this is a case by case, somebody comes and complains, they say, hey, this is a hazard, I'm concerned, that's up to your discretion, whether we, like, who decides whether we involve Metro West, because there is, like, budgetary impacts of doing that. Like, we don't have that in-house, right? It's not like we're paying somebody's salary and they're going to do an inspection here or an inspection there, and we're paying them the same thing. Like, every inspection, we incur another cost, right? And I'm not saying that that's going to be, tens of thousands of dollars or huge amounts of money, because we don't have 1,000 of these buildings. But I'm just wondering, like, how would that process work if we say, yep, if it looks, we can clearly see there's hazards, we should move forward? Is that something that we empower? Who do we empower to make that decision to move forward? And then what does that look like?
So generally, it's going to be administrative, and I've gone through this in previous cities. So the building official is state licensed. It's that person that can determine if a structure is habitable or not. It's not me, it's not Zach, it's not the fire marshal.
Right, but you would have to contact them, right? Like, would you be the one that would say, hey, somebody complained, I'm going to get the building official
We have
involved?
daily, Metro West is a normal contractor. We have daily communications with them.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the process, I think what you're asking is, what's the process? And the answer would be, we get code enforcement requests, those go through John. If we don't have any response, I'll use this as an example, we get no response within our typical 30-day response time, he would let me know, hey, Zach, I've had this code enforcement, I sent him a letter, I did this, I tried everything I can, we need to bring the next step in. Okay, what's the process? Is it code related to long grass, or is it code related to abandoned house? If it's abandoned house, then myself and John would contact Metro West. Okay, we have an abandoned house, we've had code enforcement, we need to get this into the next step. That's the next step. So it's not going to go directly from A to M right away, but it will go through the steps in the process. And we've already had A through M one. I use this one as an example. Yep. We've also had the same thing for this one as well, and had conversations with them. But we would obviously restart that process just because we want to keep it consistent with paperwork and documentation, so we have it for the court.
If it does get to that point.
If it needs to go to that process, we'll try to do everything by the book as best we can, because the last thing we need is to get caught up in court and it's like, okay, now you didn't follow item B, and it's like, okay, we're on. That's not
Correct.
gonna work, so.
And I think I asked one for just like the transparency of us not just saying, yeah, go ahead, and just making sure that we all understand what the process looks like. And then,
Yep.
I had another comment, but I think I lost it.
Do you have insight into, so the house, for example, are they in arrears on taxes, or do you not see that information?
We do not see that. That would be all the county. Either
I'm
one of
just-
these, yeah, as an examples.
Okay.
Oh, I think I found, sorry, Mr. Mayor,
Go
I
ahead.
remembered my other comment. Again, like just making sure that we're all transparent with the process of what would happen, and that the process is, it's going to be a little bit unique as far as like the timeline based on what the hazards are, but that we're following the same process of we've contacted you, we've done X, Y, and Z before we get there, because otherwise I don't want it to come back where it's like, well, we went through all of these steps of trying to make these contact and repeatedly doing all of these things for one, and then another one, it's like, nope, we jumped right to this. So just making sure that the process in the beginning is uniform and documented, so that way when we get to a certain point, then yes, certain properties will need more time to do, like mitigate those hazards, but that the process is as uniform and transparent and, like and same for all of these situations.
Yeah, it'll be similar A through whatever, but it's the after that, the action plan gets put in
Yes.
place, all of those things.
Yes.
That might change by property, because this one versus this one
Totally
are
different.
two totally different things, and you might be different for the second half of the
Agreed. I
process.
think for me, it's just making sure that they're both receiving the same amount of, hey, we tried to contact you and we waited X amount of time, and then we did all of these things to contact you, and then after a certain point, yes, they're going to be individual, and they should be. But to me, it's very important that things are, the process is the same up until a certain point, or we started at the same.
There is a legal process, and it is fairly lengthy to go through.
Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
So my
else?
question,
Go ahead.
yeah, more broad, I guess, so this follows state statute. We don't have a local ordinance related to this, and that's my assumption, and if we don't, we don't need it, we should have it, or is the state statute clear enough that we can just use that and not write more rules?
That's absolutely right. We just follow the state process.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I think what I'll do, yeah.
I know where you're going, and I'm not too far behind.
I don't disagree with what anybody's saying, but I'm not gonna ask somebody to clean their own house if we don't clean ours.
Well, I will say that one of those pictures looked like that house we just pulled out of the park, so. The other one?
Sorry. This one?
No.
No, keep going.
Uh,
That guy, that guy.
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And I would argue that barn is not far behind, so. I know Marty doesn't like to hear that.
We're working through the process, Mayor. That's
I
a
know.
touchy subject. Okay.
How much progress is enough?
Scott's got a point. But
There's a snow fence around there. There you go.
do you,
Yep,
do
don't
you have
disagree.
enough to go here?
Yep, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you, Cynthia.
Okay. Item I, payment of claims. Need motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
I had just one question. On page 75 of our packet, there was a police department donation of $3,500. Is that something we received or one that we made?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, that's an expenditure. We received $6,000 from West Metro Fire as a donation, and that's half of the expenditure out for Sana for a wellness room.
Thank you.
Page 85, a $7,800 dehumidifier.
What, sorry?
A $7,800 dehumidifier?
Counselor Sano, what page is that on again? I apologize.
85.
85.
Sorry.
It's the second one, Northwestern Power Equipment, Other Equipment Dry Humidifier.
It looks like it's for the well. Must be a well house one. Marty, it's for 601 fund.
Page 85. It's the second from the top, right after MSA Professional Services.
Oh, yeah, the dehumidifiers, yeah, I got it. Yeah, they're for the wellhead treatment plant.
Okay.
Those tanks was sweating a lot with the hot weather and stuff, and the whole floor was wet over there. So we bought in a couple of, bought 2 dehumidifiers, just like we have in all the other well houses, and that's cleared up the problem.
And we own them now, right?
Yeah, we own them.
Page 71, concrete testing. What did we test?
I will tell you.
The concrete.
That was the curb and gutter replacements with the overlay project.
I think that's all I got.
Anybody else?
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Partly for Marty, and then I'll ask my question about payment of claims. You do maintenance, your department does maintenance on our vehicles, correct? Like our fleet vehicles for all of the departments?
We don't do the fire department vehicles, we do police and public works.
So on page 76, we paid for front brakes and rotors for the chief's vehicle. Is that something we could be doing in-house?
Mayor and members, Councilman Henderson, that was done in-house. Chief asked to change the brakes on my vehicle.
Awesome, I love that. I'm just wondering if that would have been better to have Public Works do it instead of taking a firefighter off of the line of duty. Just wondering if maybe that's something that we could coordinate with Marty. I know there's also been a couple of oil changes on there that I'm just wondering if that's something that we already pay a salary for, that we could maybe coordinate between departments.
I mean, in the past, we have done that, yeah, so, I mean, we can do it.
I just think the last payment of, like, I think it was last meeting, there was an oil change. Like, I think there's been frequent, because I'm just wondering, like, we had asked about, I know we're not at a point of having another employee, but some of these things I think we should be doing in-house if we have the person we're paying already to do it and having the correct person do it. I love that the assistant chief wanted to, be proactive and do it in-house, but I think that it probably is better with your technician.
However, yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem doing it, or however Gary wants to do it is no problem either way.
You guys could figure it out, but yeah, I think that'd be awesome. Also, thank you to the assistant chief for doing what needs to be done to keep everything moving along.
Any other comments? Questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Item I passes 5-0. On to item J.
Mayor, members of council, I'm Jason Quisberg tonight. Even though Jason Quisberg's not here, hopefully I can go short and sweet. I know the chief loves his long presentation, so I'll keep it nice and long for him. Project location, again, as a reminder, this is in the southwest area of Dayton, and is a purpose to connect some properties to a public roadway. There's one access to Dayton Parkway at a set location. Scope is to construct the road, all the utilities as well from Dayton Parkway south and east, and provide access to all the property owners. As again, here's the access points just so you can see from the project and what it's being used for. Access for sewer connections are going to be done from the north and brought to the property line. We are only proposing to do the yellow and orange sections, not the blue section. We'll put water utilities in there as well, and that will be brought up through the blue line related to that street, and water then will be connected up and then it will be available through that process. We did do bids. We opened those last week on July 21st. 12 bids were received, which is a number of bids. We had 16 plan holders, 12 of which bid, so that's pretty good, with the lowest bid coming in at $1.711 million.
We worked with them before.
We have not worked with Latour Construction before, but I believe our engineers have had experience with them in other communities potentially, and or have vetted them to make sure that they are a reputable construction company. We do want to make sure you guys know all of the construction costs related to the project, because it is not just the construction itself, it's also engineering. And the largest one is wetland mitigation, so we are purchasing wetland mitigation credits to go through the wetland area. That has all been taken care of and done through the watershed and Army Corps of Engineers. It just needs to pay those credits, about $456,000. The idea is to award the bid today. Early September is probably the start of construction. That will also be dependent on our closing of the property related to the item last council meeting. If we can start earlier, we most certainly will. Interim completion date is November 15th. What the interim means is that we will have all of the utilities in the ground, and we will have one layer of pavement down to be able to be accessed throughout the winter. The reason for that is because we want to go through one freeze thaw, specifically with the wetland in the area. Then in the spring of 2027, we will then mill and grind up the entire layer of pavement, grind that, push that back down into the base to make it more stable base, and then put another layer of initial wear down along with the curb. So none of the curb will go in at all during this time of the interim, just to get a layer of pavement down. Final completion will be, technically, we're going to probably push that to the beginning of 28 because we want to go through another freeze thaw cycle, only specifically because of the construction process that's likely going to go around that, and also the wetland. I'm a little concerned about how much that may move depending on how many times it's driven on. So basically drive over it as many times in 26, beat the snot out of it, and then put a nice layer down in 27 and call it a day.
Do you, or maybe Marty, why did we get so many bids? What's going on?
So we had a number of inquiries before we even had the project even moving. I believe it's just kind of low work right now from what I understand from the contractors. Okay. So there's just not that much work available. And the work that's being done has been bid out months and months and months ago. So they're waiting longer for timeline. So they'll bid on something in March that they have an extended timeline to get, and then they will try to jam as much as they can in there. Well, we're towards the end of the season, so it's, if they don't have work to do, now's the time. So there's advantages to going early, and later. In the middle is typically where you get, I'm going to say, not the best.
What was our estimate? I don't remember.
I thought it was around 2.1 million for this project. It came in under the project bid. We anticipated to have about a $2.8 million total on this project, and we're about $300,000 underneath that. So.
And this is all budget, but the total amount has already been budgeted for.
So part of this process is the council needs to be aware this is part of the conversation related to the Dayton Parkway neighborhood that we have, that we went through that process. We will have that in the future meetings of the prepayments back to us through credits, and then also as a 50-50 split through that process with the project. And so it should be a 50-50 split through the rest of it. I anticipate us probably issuing bonds for this because we are going to pay for it through tax abatement bonds. As most of you remember, I think this was part of the conversation we had with Councilmember Van Asten and Councilmember Henderson when you guys were just in the municipal council, is how we're going to pay for it. You need to have at least 150 units in the development in order for you to have the roadway go through, because we need to make sure we can pay for it through the analysis we did for taxes, for tax abatement.
Yeah.
That'll be likely how we pay for this project.
Okay.
We will be able to cash flow it for now. You won't see an actual issuance of debt until probably next year.
Okay.
Just so you're aware for timing wise.
Yeah, well, because that's my question, because we
Yep.
had this whole thing figured
Yes.
out, and
Yes.
then.
Everything backfired. went backwards.
Yes.
Yep.
And so I just wanted to clear, we do still have it figured out.
Nothing has changed.
Okay.
Since that process. The numbers have changed now. Now we have
Yeah.
solid numbers to go
Yeah.
off of, but nothing has changed in that
Okay,
aspect of things.
okay, so the same financial
Yeah, it's still
process.
50-50 split.
Okay,
That
okay.
was the plan, yes.
Question, what if it doesn't?
So, I believe, so I don't know this for a fact, but I believe in the bid that we put out, we have the ability to cancel the bid.
Okay.
Based on financing or
Okay.
whatnot, and that was something that we did put in the bid from my understanding with Jason Quisberg, but I didn't do the bid documents, so I'm gonna say that's what's in there, because that's what he told me.
Okay.
And we're gonna go with it. If that's not right, I will most certainly come back to council and say, I eat my words, because that's what we put in there. Part of it was because we didn't know what was gonna happen with the process, so
yeah.
that's why we bid it out that way.
Yeah.
Was because we were still
We
up
were
in the air
still-
with a lot of other
yes.
things. If you remember, we did approve this bid back in June. At that time, we did not have any information that we do
Yes.
today. So
That's why I wanted to
yes,
clarify
in the
it.
bid process, through the contract, we noted that we could cancel for any reason without any penalty.
Okay, so if everything falls apart in 2 months, we can just be like, never mind, haha, just kidding. Okay.
Yes, yep. You are not obligating this, and that's one thing that was a little odd to write in the bid process, because I remember Jason talking to me about it many times, and I said, let's include that just in case.
Just
So,
in case, okay. Thank you for that clarification.
yep.
Okay, I need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any more discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. That carries 5-0, and on to item Okay.
All right, Mayor, members of council, approval of the travel food policy, meal policy. This is a result of a conversation back in May, at the end of May, from myself as the administrator and putting a memo to the council. I gave myself 4 meetings. This is number 4 meeting, so here we are. I did review numerous communities with the assistance of Amy as well to get me policies related to those numerous communities that ranged in what was allowed and not allowed in regards to travel and meals and food. No one community had a policy that I said, yep, that's the one we want to follow, because everyone was so different. So I took bits and pieces from all of them and did my best to create a policy that would give us the best direction for city employees on travel and meals in the future. My action requested today is request for approval of the travel and meal food policy. I will stand for any questions. I will be totally honest with you, this is a bits and pieces one versus the previous policies that maybe have been put together. So I will take any feedback and make sure we can adjust and get through this. So I will stand for any questions. Thank you.
Overall, I mean, I like the goal of this. I think it's a good goal. I do agree. It feels kind of bits and pieces, and I think also because there's 2 vastly different times when meals are purchased: the travel, in-state, out-of-state travel, versus the city buying food for the employees, right? Like, and those are wildly different, and I think that's why they kind of feel a little, I don't know if disjointed is the right word, but I kind of felt like I was reading 2 different policies, because ultimately you kind of are. So I'm okay with this as written. I think some things are a little clunky, but I couldn't come up with a better way. When I tried to be like, oh, this feels clunky, how can I streamline this? I couldn't think of a way that isn't either going too far where we've completely hamstrung ourselves and like can't do anything at all, or just might as well not even have a policy. So I do think, and I think sometimes, particularly for something like this that we haven't had before, I'm okay adopting it as is and like letting it ride for a year and seeing how it actually plays out in real life. Like, how did this actually work? And then maybe a year from now, if it's working great, fine. We don't need to retouch it just for the sake of it. But acknowledge that, like you said, no city had a policy we really liked. This is a bits and pieces thing. There are parts that are clunky. I'm okay trying this with like this caveat that like a year from now, if you come back and you're like, this has been a nightmare and has been an administrative just hassle, and we need to streamline this better, that we would all be open to be like, yeah, let's talk about how it worked and how it didn't work. But I'm okay with it as is, and I'd be fine with approving this as written.
Motion and second.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, any more discussion, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Passes 5-0. On to item L.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this item, what are we calling this? Ordinance 2026-13, amending city code related uses of tables. In the zoning code, every zoning district has, I'm going to say, there's a large table that says, okay, is every use a permitted, conditional, interim use, accessory use, and so on. And then abbreviated, PCI and such. We have a typo that's F, and so there's a question of if, and this is specific to accessory buildings in the Park and Recreation District, which is inappropriate RP instead of PR. There's a question of, is F intended to be a C or a P? C for conditional use, P for permitted use. The origin of the typo has existed for 20, 30 some years. The Park and Public Recreational District is a seldomly used zoning district, so it's just not something that we've noticed. And then I should back up. This was brought to our attention by a resident, so I want to give credit where credit is due. So the overall question is, should accessory buildings be a permitted use or a conditional use in the public recreational district? Planning Commission, and just how it's read in the PR district and the zoning code, I'll just read the highlighted areas. Accessory uses are to be conditioned wholly within a lawfully erected principal building except designated accessory structures approved as a conditional use, period. Planning Commission held a public hearing at their July 9th meeting. Based on this highlighted item, the Planning Commission recommended that accessory buildings be a conditional use permit, that this is the way the code is intending it to be a conditional use permit. Question, what does that mean, or what is the impact to the city code? I would say in practice, we've been treating accessory buildings as a permitted use in the PR district as in most zoning districts. If this is to be a conditional use permit, every accessory building in the PR district would require a conditional use permit. So for example, we have a band shell that's unordered, I believe. That requires a conditional use permit. If we build, essentially any structure, whether it's a picnic shelter or whatever else, that would require a conditional use permit. So based on that, staff's recommendation is that accessory buildings would be a permitted use. If the council wants to go the route of a conditional use permit, we're requesting that there be an exception for anything that's 1,000 square feet and under.
So right now, there's nothing, not even the 200 feet thing?
Correct. So if
so really,
yeah.
literally, if something covering garbage.
It gets to be a fine line, when you get into, we have, I'm going to say a fence. Well, at what point is a fence versus a structure? And it's kind of, if there's a roof over it, it's more of a structure. So I think if we built a structure around outhouses, if it has a roof on it, it would require a conditional use permit. So, again, the 1,000 square foot number, the reason why that is being requested is that is the biggest size of garage you can build in most of the residential districts. So it's just a nice round number.
So just to clarify, Planning Commission's recommendation is it's a conditional use.
Conditional use permit.
And staff is asking that we put an extra bit in there that says 1,000 under 1,000 square feet or less is permitted.
So staff's recommendation is that it be a permitted use.
Okay, period.
Yes, but if the council would like a conditional use, then allow that 1,000 square foot exception.
Exception, okay. I think one of my struggles is that we're putting, I don't know, there's a lot of things. There's private and public, right?
Yep.
In this, and that I think is where I'm kind of hitting my little bit of a snag. And so I'm kind of leaning towards conditional use, particularly because the code does say as a conditional use. It's literally what the code says. And so.
Why is that a snag for you?
Why is that a snag?
Yeah.
Which part?
The public versus private.
Because I feel like the public tends to go through a longer process and take more consideration of its neighbors than sometimes private does, to be perfectly honest. Not always, but generally speaking. And so that's where my little hang up is. I would go with conditional and with the 1,000 square foot exemption. I don't know what that's where I'm at.
You're saying anything about that second recommendation, I'd point to it, but anything about the 1,000 needs a CUP.
Yeah.
1,000 is a pretty good sized building, so it seems to me it's not, I think I could deal with that.
Yeah, I think the 1,000-foot part of it is important. Bringing this CUP activity in at all is going to make more work for everybody, the commissions, the staff, and ultimately us. But I can see the value in it, but I can't see it for some of the examples that you gave, John, that would just be kind of silly. So I can see having this with the 1,000-foot exemption or minimum.
And when you, sorry, this is, again, is it late? It feels late. When you're saying like a garage, you're saying like on a residential property, like a 3-car garage, like how big of a, how much is 1,000 feet?
4-car garage.
A 30 by 30, 31 by 31.
33 by 33?
Well, it's 31.62277666017 by 31.622, so 30 by 30.
Telling me how many cars is,
Four cars or
Four-car
a big
garage.
three?
so anything larger than that, you would need a conditional use permit, is that
Yes.
what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay, I'm on board with that. Anything smaller than that, it just seems like a burden on our staff to do, and again, just ridiculous.
It feels like a good compromise position.
Feels like a good middle,
Yeah.
because if it's anything larger than that, then it's going to be a substantial structure,
It's a
and,
significant structure.
correct,
Yeah.
and that we should maybe have some sort of like,
Just want to think
yeah,
about it a little bit.
let's think a little deeper than just letting it happen and being as large as we can make it. So yeah, I'm fine
Chime
with
in,
that.
are you good?
I'm fine.
All right. Yeah, come on up.
From Brook Lane. So, in general, I don't have any disagreements with what you're doing, but it does, I want to know how, a little clarification, because I've had my, I want to make sure that my Sundance Green's 12th, I'm proposing a building, maybe brought a little bit of this, that I had a PUD that I feel, was approved before, so I wanted to see if this is affecting this, or if I'm prior to this
That was a
vote.
question I had, John. Doesn't a PUD kind of wrap everything in it?
Yeah, so with the plan unit development, or a PUD for short, is everything is a permitted use within a PUD. But typically a PUD kind of calls things out. So with Sundance, this was a very large PUD in 2018. It included all of Sundance Golf Course. It didn't necessarily look at individual structures. My interpretation is that the maintenance building was part of what was approved in 2018 as part of the PUD. So the only thing that's really applicable is more so the appearance of the building, which wasn't part of the 2018 approval. But the location was part of that approval.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, that's my understanding as well.
But in general, you would agree, if we had something new, I mean, even leaving that out, if something's covered under a PUD,
Yeah,
CUPs
so
within it are kind of.
yes, and the hard part, let's say there's a picnic shelter in part of the golf course. Does that justify a separate conditional use permit?
Was it going to be bigger than 30 by 30?
Well, now it doesn't.
Right.
But my point is if something is approved under a PUD, it seems like.
It's inclusive, yeah.
It's inclusive.
Correct.
Makes sense?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, that would be my understanding, is that a PUD, everything within the PUD that's called out in the PUD would be covered by the PUD, not necessarily a separate CUP.
You're not gonna get separate
Unless there's
CUPs.
something that you do something different on the later half of it than what was
Yes.
listed on the PUD, then you would need.
After the fact.
Yes.
Yeah,
This
that
is
makes sense.
generally not retroactive.
It is not.
Things that are already approved are approved, and we go forward from here with these new rules, correct? I mean, that's what we're talking about.
And I just understand, I mean, the next planning commission meeting, there'll be a lot of discussion on the building, and I just, wanted to make sure, just some clarification is all. So I think I got that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have someone else who wants to talk.
Oh, go ahead.
I have one more thing.
Okay.
Eric, if you can unmute yourself.
Hello, Eric Suppold, 11534 Brayburn Trail. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Definitely.
So I do have a comment on the, I guess, moving forward of this. I do support the CUP use. I'm a little skeptical, or the change to the CUP, I'm a little, I have some concerns about the 1,000 square foot condition. I believe that could be a condition that could be determined when it's going through the CUP process. 1,000 square feet could be 50 by 20, and I think in the PR district up to like 25 feet tall or so. So that still gets to be rather large. And right now we have a couple areas that are, public recreation districts. In the future, we could have other areas that are public recreation districts, and these areas tend to be rather large, which means they oftentimes abut up to different types of zoning areas. So where one building might be appropriate, let's say next to a business district or a band shelter next to a river, it may be inappropriate next to a residential property. And I think that's where the protection comes into play with the CUP requirement, and why I would support what the Planning Commission had recommended, in that it's the CUP. And maybe there needs to be further exploration on this additional exception of 1,000 feet. I'd also like to just, caution or request that the council be careful in answering the questions by Mr. Dean that might otherwise imply that you are saying his maintenance building is or was approved or is approved based on your feedback tonight. I believe that is still in question, and is still in question of whether it was actually included in the PUD agreement. That's a separate matter, but I just wanted to also make that comment since it was brought forward. I think the topics or the examples used tonight represent the least impactful examples, band shells and shelters. There can be much more impactful examples that were not mentioned. So I would just appreciate the council's understanding of that and consideration of that as you continue to deliberate on this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else want to? All right.
I have something that's
ahead.
not related to this, but it's in this table that I just have a question on, that because I don't look at the table on a regular basis. In the VM district on the table, industrial light is conditional use, but industrial medium is permitted. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that seems kind of backwards.
And since we're in the middle of fixing it, maybe we should, I feel like those are flipped. That the light could be permitted and the medium is conditional. It just doesn't make sense that the light is conditional and the medium is permitted. Explain that to me, I guess.
I don't think I could. I'm trying to remember what the VM district is.
It's a village mixed use.
Yeah.
Mixed use.
And currently, Mayor and Council, we don't have anybody in this village mixed use district, so that's why it hasn't come up as a comment, because we don't have anybody in the district.
But if we're in the midst of fixing this, we might as well fix that, I guess.
I can't, I was trying to, Mayor and Council, and I can't think of anything why we'd
we would want that
have
as a-
flip-flopped, so.
It's a conditional use for both of them, but.
Yeah, I'm fine with them both being
Yeah.
conditional. It just didn't make any sense that light was conditional and medium wasn't. That was the part that caught me. I'm like, how does that make any sense? They should either both be conditional or flip-flopped. And since you're changing this, we might as well change
Because
it.
that's how it was written.
Yeah.
Back in the olden days. Is
Yes.
everybody okay with that change?
Yep. I would,
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I want to acknowledge the residents' concern, and I don't necessarily disagree, and I'd be okay going smaller than 1,000 square feet down to 500 square feet, but I feel like there's already 3 votes for the 1,000, so I don't think.
If it's 5, or if it's 1,000 square feet, and again, like also, like the residents, we're talking about the height, it could be a tall.
22 by 22.
It could be, as long as it, you know what I mean, like.
Well, some people will complain about height too, because height could blocks on, who
I
knows?
feel like height is almost sometimes more impactful than size.
Depends on your grade.
Mayor and Council, this is specifically for the table of uses, which would not incorporate the height. If that's something the council would like to give us direction on to review, we could do that, but that's not specifically in this subdivision that we're looking
Right,
at. I just want to make sure the topic stays on.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm just looking at like 1,000 square feet. I wasn't thinking about the height as well as the size, because if it's that big and it's really tall, like that's more impactful than it just being large and short. So maybe it should be. I'm gonna stop.
I'm guessing you want 500.
500 feels small. I mean,
It's
500 is
20.
small.
It's 22 by 22, but that would cover most of the examples, like the.
But what do you put in a building that size?
Well, so the things like when
around?
we build a thing around the porta potties, right? If we make this conditional use permit, they have to come through.
Yeah, and that's crazy.
Stupid.
That's
that
Looney Tunes to
that
me,
fits within. That's definitely less than 20 by 20, without question.
Correct.
And so, like, And if you're putting a structure around to store garbage, right? Like that's 20 by 20, that would suit that. So I'm trying to find some middle ground that we're not making an unreasonable workload, but yet acknowledging that like a 30 by 30 building could be pretty big.
Yeah.
Or as the resident said, it could be 20 by 50. I went with square, but.
Where you at?
I am going to make a motion that we approve it with the 1,000 square foot minimum for it to apply, and also the change that Sarah suggested around the light. No,
medium
medium
industrial. Yeah.
Medium industrial.
Make them both conditional.
Both conditional?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure clear on the board.
Dave, I need a second.
Second.
And Scott. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no.
No.
That carries 4-1. Now we are off to item M. Elsie Stevens Park Phase 3 discussion.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is item M is Elsie Stevens Park Phase 3 discussion, just to keep you updated where we're at and give you the opportunity to comment on some very early stage plans. I have Eleanor and Rain from MSA here to do the presentation, since they worked on the project a lot closer than I have. So you can,
Slides there?
you can.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be great.
okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having us tonight. We're excited that we're at this stage in the project to talk about where things are at with the plans and be moving into hopefully bidding very, very soon, which is great to see the good bid results you had in the last project. That's a good sign. So looking at, again, what this general project is, it's to really put a stage cover over your current stage area. So there's a concrete foundation there and kind of pad, but we're going to put a cover over the top of it that the city is procuring and has selected. We talked about extending some pavement out in front of that area for a potential dance floor area or even a seating area as needed, whatever it looks like. There are some site adjustments that need to be made as part of the project, such as the connecting sidewalk that actually comes down to the current area right now, just based on grades, would need to get adjusted so that it continues to be your ADA access route to the stage area. Other things that we've been aligning with this overall project is just, again, looking at where the floodplain is and making sure that we don't have adverse impacts, as well as overall aligning this project with, again, your original master plan that was completed recently. This here is a cross-section, looking kind of, I guess, to the north, is that the right direction? Yes, all right, of what the shelter would look like. And so, I don't know, yes, the mouse shows up, perfect. So in this general area, you'll see some pictures that Eleanor will talk about where the current existing sidewalk kind of ties in front of the concrete pad that's there now, and why we have to level this out to make it flatter so that it is ADA compliant and can build out that dance floor. There's some adjustments we have to do to work with the and accommodate the site for some of the existing stone wall seat areas, and then as well as drainage from the shelter itself or the cover to the adjacent sidewalk or multi-use path behind it. So this kind of gives you a good section because you'll see in the future pictures that there are some great adjustments we do need to make. So I will turn it over to Eleanor to kind of walk through some of the design steps here.
Thanks. Yeah, so taking a step back and looking at existing conditions that inform kind of how the plans are coming together, you can see here on the screen the topo survey that was done out there showing the different contours, the existing stage, other existing features. Currently, this accessible walkway that comes down is at an under 5%, which qualifies as an accessible route to the stage. This is, I'm sure you're all aware what it looks like out there, but just for context, this is showing that same perspective that the section cut was showing earlier. So the existing stage area, the existing seating, and you can see the ramp that currently comes into the site at that 5%. So there's this little hump that goes through the site that divides the existing seat wall and the existing stage. That's another item the plan seeks to navigate as we're working to keep things accessible. Looking down at the stage, this is the opposite perspective coming in. You can see there's the existing shelter out there. You can see how the grade is sloping away back towards the river side of the stage. sort of pivoting around to show that existing grade change and how the plans plan to address it.
Did you end up bringing the stage up at all?
No, we are not doing anything to the existing stage.
Okay.
Or the plans currently call for the existing stage to remain as is. That's a better way to phrase it. So this is the view from the stage out to from the existing stage out to the existing seating. You can see, again, this is just showing how that grade is currently functioning through there. One thing we're looking to address with the addition of the roof that's going over the shelter is the erosion currently happening behind the stage. So you can see there's some washout, and with the roof structure sloping towards the river, the plan is to also address some of the drainage and erosion concerns behind the stage as well, or prevent erosion concerns to some extent. So you can see there's some areas of washout in here. So site impacts that are anticipated from the proposed plans, like we've mentioned, the existing route to the stage area is currently accessible. In order to keep that as an accessible route there, we need to take a look at options to realign the path. We've taken a look at a couple different options, mentioned trying to bring the path out further to see if we could do less grade disruption. That was one option we considered. Another option we considered is whether or not we could reutilize this existing ramp and convert it to a ramp. Using it as a ramp instead of a path, you have to have a handrail on both sides for accessibility. That adds project costs. So ultimately, there's sort of a middle ground there of site impacts and site costs.
And I would just mention, we went through a couple different iterations of that. You can flip to the next slide.
Yeah.
To look at what those costs would be and balancing how much grading is down there. It'd be nice to be able to reuse some of that concrete, but in this case, because of how we have to expand the dance floor in front of it, it really just, it's better to regrade a new sidewalk in versus putting the handrails in. It's, when we go to a ramp with handrails, it becomes more of a maintenance situation than just a regular sidewalk. So we balanced that. We also look at the costs, and we went through those with Marty and balanced those out, and we came to the conclusion that the sidewalk is the better option for cost purposes and maintenance long term.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification. So this is the proposed design layout as it stands now. The sidewalk down comes in at less than 5%, so we can avoid having a ramp. It also connects to the existing pathway that's out on site. We connect to the top of the dance floor. The grade, so the way the grade currently falls on site to get the dance floor to remain at under 2%, which is the dance floor maximum to keep it essentially a level surface, we need to lower the grade in front of the existing seat wall. So to do that and address it and create a more usable space, we're proposing to have an additional row of rock retaining wall stone seating similar to what's out there now. This would be directly abutting the existing seat wall that's out there. You can see in the plans you may have, and then also on the screen, this is the existing seat wall, and then we're showing another row that's in front of it in the section you saw that sits down below the existing. Touching on cost and budget, we're working on refining these numbers at this stage. Construction subtotal is around $255 with a 10% contingency, brings the estimated project total to just under $280,000. A couple of footnotes on this: the electrical is currently in there as an allowance. There are a couple items we'd also like to work through in terms of lighting, how that functions with the shelter. Another couple of footnotes on this: the shelter material cost is not included as it's being direct purchased by the city. However, this cost does include the structural, does include the footings and the cost for the contractor to install the shelter. Another footnote on this: the excavation below subgrade is an allowance based on the geotech report out there and the existing soil conditions. We have a line item in here as an allowance. This will be only paid out during construction if poor soils are verified on site. Where we're at in the project schedule, so we're here today meeting with you to take a look at the plans and confirm project direction. The tentative schedule has 95% plans back to the council for approval for bidding August 6th. To meet the packet for the August 11th City Council meeting. Plans would then be posted to the bidding site August 13th. Currently, we're showing the bid opening is August 27th. This is a Thursday. That is the required 2-week minimum window. One suggestion there is to allow a couple extra days in there, either by having the bid opening on Friday or Tuesday. Mondays generally you don't, Mondays are hard for everyone sometimes. So either a Friday or a Tuesday bid opening is another alternative. Opening on the Tuesday would still allow us to provide you a bid recommendation and memo for a City Council award on September 8th.
So we're just trying to maximize that bid timeline. Obviously, if there's a lot of competition out there, we're hoping that competition will be seen in this bid process. It is a smaller window, but it is mostly site work with a small amount of electrical and the concrete. So I think there should be a lot of bidders in this case. It should be a desirable project. And we're just trying to capture a couple extra days in there. What's the right timing to open bids? And make sure we're not in conflict of anything else going on that people are opening bids on. So that's what we're just looking at. It really crunches us down in time frame to vet the contractors and then give you guys a memo. But we're willing to do that just to make sure that we get those extra days to make sure they get solid numbers in and that you get the maximum number of bidders and still hit your meeting cycle for approval to get this project moving.
So a stupid question. So it says August 13th post request for bidding and then August 27th bid opening. What is happening in those 14 days?
That's when the bidder is looking at the contractors are looking at the plans and the specifications and trying to put their numbers together.
Got it.
Project,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
And I might pan back to the site plan here just to make sure, we have everything answered from your guys' questions on the plan overall, but I believe this meets the intent that we talked about last time I was here about the project and trying to address the site. We're not impacting, or the intent is to not impact that current concrete pad out there. So those footings are on the outside of the current concrete pad, that everything ties together with that same elevation. So the existing elevation of the pad will extend with the new dance floor in front of it as well.
Can you go back to that cross-section view?
Yep.
Because that was helpful.
And then just to note, the August 11th meeting had to be rescheduled because that's actually Election Day.
So that's
Just for your
okay.
calendar, but I think it's on
Good
the
to know.
13th.
That's correct.
Okay. How can we help you make this bidding process go faster?
Well, one thing as an option, I don't know for sure your formal process, but like if you feel the plans look really good and we work out the final little details here, working with staff, we can do that and get this out on the streets. I didn't know if it needs to come back one more time in front of you. We were pretty darn close with the plans. We just got a couple light fixtures we got to work out and what that looks like, but I mean, everything is here and ready to go as far as we're concerned.
Have you been to the site and looked at what's there today?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sure. But I mean, from the standpoint of, well, how do I explain this? Keep going. Keep going.
The back of it?
Right there, stop. We have, this has come up in the past, the limestone.
Oh.
All
They're
those
cheaper now.
limestone, what?
They're cheaper.
I know they're cheaper, but they're still falling apart. You see the crack? You can see it in this picture.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 1.5 inches below the top. That is not quarried limestone.
Yeah, Marty and I have talked about that.
So we got robbed in the past. However, I just think that in 5 or 10 years, all that stuff's going to crack, flake off, and we're going to end up replacing that stuff. So you have limestone in here for 14 grand. Does that include? That doesn't include doing anything with the existing stuff.
No. Correct.
So how do we make this not fall apart in 5 or 10 years? Because it's going to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends. We can put a different stone in front of it. I don't know if you're asking us to address the existing stuff too,
Not necessarily.
or just the new stuff that goes in. Because
what is the problem with, say, stamped concrete? I don't want to get in and micromanage things, but this is going to fall apart. And we went this route because it was supposed to last forever.
Yeah.
And yet there it is.
We talked about this, and it's the first I've ever seen of that. There's a couple things that came to mind that we talked about, how it was either cut or not cut, or how it was put together. It's really, really ironic that that top is pretty consistent.
Yeah, it
across
was
all of those.
manufactured.
We would have to, if you still have documentation on where that supposedly came from, we could try to make sure that that was excluded from this spec to get it from a different quarry brought in. We can pick a different stone. We can do a different product. We can do concrete. There are so many other options.
Okay.
We could look for something else. The only concern is the aesthetics, right? What you're matching against. It's going to be different than when you pick a different product. So how important is it to match?
Well, like I said, I'm willing to bet half of those in 5 years we replace. Because ice is going to get in there, water's going to get in, it's going to chip it off. And now you got sharp edges and people are going to say, ugh.
Have you had any crack apart?
Yeah, there's one of them
The top has come off, or is it just fracturing?
There's a couple of areas where it's fractured at the top of the top layer, but there is a consistent, about 2 inches from the surface, there's that fracture line around it.
And I don't know what some other product costs. I mean, this is down substantially from what we paid for those. Those were, I believe, $800 a piece.
If these are the same size.
Well, I'm assuming the size is.
Yeah, yep.
I mean, for sitting height, they're going to be.
I don't know. I mean, you guys are the experts, right? What do people put in parks for seating? Do they use damn
a lot of
concrete?
exactly that.
You do.
And like I said, this is really ironic. Like I said, we almost, I would say 75% of the parks, when somebody wants a cheap, low-cost bench that looks natural, we pick this type of stone.
Cheap?
We do the same thing. Well, cheaper than putting the cost of a bench. A bench nowadays is a minimum $2,500
sure,
or more,
yeah.
it seems like. So when you don't want to pay that price and put some, nice landscaping and seating in, this is the product.
In the scheme of things, I'm not too concerned about the price now that it's down into $300 or so. It's just longevity. I think the Elk River one has stamped concrete. I like stamped concrete. However, I understand what your point is, but I just think we're going to be.
We could do a stamped concrete and stain it to match. We've done that multiple times. I do that a lot on a lot of retaining walls. They can use those same type of stones with a cap and stain it. That's an option. The only thing is that in this case, then I would recommend the row that we're butting up to, that lower row, be replaced as well, and do the whole as one, and then leave the rest until it,
Until they really do fall apart even more.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, I would say the exact same thing that Brian is saying. I don't think that's a bad idea to do the stamped concrete because it would last, it should last, better than limestone, obviously.
Yeah.
But then I would replace those 4 that are right there and make
Just
it at
do
least,
one row.
make it at least uniform. So the other ones can stay because they're there. We can reutilize those ones because they're already there. It's not like we'll throw them in the garbage can.
If we move them, my guess is you're going to crack more of them.
Possible. I'm not saying they won't, but.
Is a ballpark stamped concrete's going to be probably comparable?
It's going to be more.
It is?
Especially with the staining. It will be more. But
More than $300 a block?
I don't have a cost offhand. I wish I did now.
Okay.
we can
I don't know.
work on that.
Where do you guys want to go?
There are a couple on the stage now that you're going to move. They won't need to stay there.
We have to have railing or something on there, most likely, Councilmember Sonic, because you have to still have some sort of way to keep people from falling off the back of it, so whether we
Just
add
fill it
railing
all
or
in with
whatever.
dirt, gradually grade it down.
Could.
That whole thing should be, all the way around the back, it should be all graded out about 10 feet.
And I think that's what. Sorry,
That's what the cross-section shows.
Yeah. The section shows that we were going to try to bring that up to grade so that you don't have that drop off. But it is going to be rock.
Right, it is going to be rock. We do have to be careful of filling the floodplain as well. We need to come out net on that, net zero.
Well, I wouldn't fill up to the path that's there. I wouldn't go to that.
Right, we need to leave a safety separation at the edge of the path, but for erosion issues, the best is rock of some sort to the right size so that it's also low maintenance. We went through a couple different options with Marty talking about maintenance and what the aesthetics would look like and what's the best option. The rock helps and it'll slow the water.
Can you go
prevent that
smaller
erosion.
rock and not the great big rip rock?
We can, yeah, we'll look
Yeah.
at the right size.
I mean,
Like a
falling off the
river
stage onto a rock this big around is not going to be good.
No, and you don't want, and people are going to walk there. You have to say it, so you want to
They're
get
nice
something
little
that's.
rocks.
Yeah,
Don't fall off stage.
yeah. Don't fall off the stage.
I've learned anything's possible.
The rest of it looks good. I just, limestone just.
Yeah, so Mayor, Council, if somebody wants, if you'd like to make us a motion to say, look at that, we can most certainly do that. I just want to make sure we're taking direction from the council adequately.
I guess that's what I would say, is just at least look at it and see if we can have another solution there, because, yeah.
Are you willing to just though approve it so they can go to bid faster, or do you want it to come back?
No, I don't think it needs to come back. Do what you can.
Get it out there.
I'll be excited to see the bids, because I don't like the 284.
Yeah, that seems kind of, but we'll see.
So
Okay.
we're approving it to the point where go ahead and get the bids, and we don't need to see it again before you go to bid. Is that my motion? Or is
We're
that
gonna
the
see the
motion?
bid.
Well, no, but like the documentation, because you, in your timeline, you have yourselves coming back one more time.
Yeah, correct.
And-
This would allow this to speed it along, and then we can even maximize that bidding window.
Yes.
I mean, the whole intent is to get this done by November, something.
Yep.
I believe.
So I'm trying to help you get with your
what
goal.
done by November? Get it.
The entire shelter and everything put up. I think that's doable.
It's possible.
Correct?
I think that we can.
Sometime in the
I think
middle of
we can
November.
get it substantially done this year. There'll be some final completion stuff to finish up next year. But the more time we can have getting the bids out and getting that back in, gives us a bigger window to work out there.
Any lights might have to be done next spring, but I mean.
And when can work start in the spring? I suppose it depends on what the work is.
Yeah, it depends on the weather and stuff, yeah. And then,
Probably also depends on what needs to be done too, Mayor, so if it's electrical work, that can be done whenever.
that can be done.
If it's big trucks, then obviously they gotta wait till road restrictions come off or.
I'm okay with it.
Or whatever, so.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm fine with us not seeing it again
Yep.
in August, and we'll look at the bids when they come in. I think you just kind of talked about this. I was wondering, because of the erosion on the backside and all the water from this cover is going to dump right there, that you've figured out what that volume is and how you're going to handle it. So I guess I don't need anything else on that. The other thing, which is related but not directly, is that when we kind of started this discussion, we sort of split out the splash pad because there was some discussion about whether we were bringing in water, using reclaimed water, et cetera, and you were going to look at some other options for us to decide on. I feel like that kind of went into a black hole now, and so I want some assurance that somebody is still working on this. We didn't cut it out of the project. We delayed that decision part so that we could get this done sooner, which...
I will say that the splash pad part being delayed is my fault. I just haven't had time to look at in any detail. Rain has pulled together a presentation that we can bring back. I was hoping to bring it back to you guys in September or something like that, so we can revisit it. And part of it was we were delayed because the Department of Labour and Industry were looking at what they wanted to do for permitting the plumbing on there, whether they wanted to change it or keep it or whatever they were going to do. So that decision came back a couple of months ago, and I just haven't had time to really focus on the splash pad yet.
Okay, because my own goal with this is that we're not here next year talking about the splash pad, that we finalize that design this fall, go to bid, things start to happen next spring, assuming we find the money to do that. But we string out this planning phase over years, and I just don't want this one to get lost, because this was supposed to be part of this phase.
One question I have on the rock. What about slanted concrete, like they do under a bridge deck? I know it's going to be a little bit more money, but it's nice and flat, and the weeds aren't growing up in it.
Yeah, the only thing is that it's just gonna become the velocity of the water is gonna increase and then go across that path, and then cause erosion on the other side of the path, unfortunately. If you don't use the rock to dissipate that velocity, I love the idea, it's cleaner, totally, but it won't slow that water. It'll just run right across there and then cause issues on the other side of the path.
Put rock right on the other side of the path, small little river rock right on the other side of the path.
We could look, we can look at that. We could look at, we talked about some drainage pipe too. If the look of the rock is not desired, we could look at some other things too there. Again.
You want to spend more money, Scott?
It's going to come in cheaper than $284. I mean, the concrete alone is twice what it costs. Concrete doesn't cost $20 or
So how do we shape this into approval?
Well, like that right there, you could have a small little alternate in there.
Yeah, we can look at an alternate for sure.
So Mayor and Council, what I'm looking for is a motion in a second, and it's gonna have an addendum to say you're okay with us going out for bid, and you'd like us to review stamped concrete. Those are the two things that I heard, along with an alternate for the slope, which.
Little apron on the back.
Apron on the back and
And
back
then
with
move
rock
the
on the other
rock.
side.
Yeah.
If that's what I'm hearing as the motion, but
And I don't care
I
if
wanna
the
make
rock's
sure
on the
that's.
south side of the path or the north side of the path.
Sure.
Okay, so what Zach said, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Item N.
Mayor and Council, I'm in front of you, consideration of Resolution 30, 2026 for Mayor and Council pay adjustment. This is council direction, was given to review Mayor and Council pay at the beginning of the year or beginning of the budget season, which was back in May. I was able to follow through with that review. I used the League of Minnesota City Survey, which was provided by every community basically across Minnesota. Not every community has to respond, but if you do respond, then you're able to get all the information, which we do every year. The ordinance is required to use a population and then a plus 1,000 and minus 1,000 as the process to figure out what the average wage is. If we use 12,000 as the population for Dayton, which was my best guesstimate, is based on the ordinance, the new pay would be $69.52 and council would be $53.04. Additional background, just so that you're aware, if the ordinance was not followed, just as a general idea of based on how much we do as a mayor and a council and following area communities around us, if you were to say the ordinance needs to be updated because the ordinance has not been touched since it was been incepted, which I think was like 1978 or something, the mayor pay would be $78.75 and council would be $61.88, which takes us more in line with other communities that are in the Northwest Metro experiencing large growth that we are seeing, and then the amount of time that's being spent on by mayor and council. I feel it's reasonable that we would be able to look at an ordinance because I feel like it's the amount of time that's spent specifically in growing communities and the amount of things that you have to deal with. But based on ordinance, you are allowed to go back and approve a small increase to $69.52 and $53.04. So what I'm looking for is either two things. Either council gives me direction to say the ordinance needs to be adjusted and we don't reference similar sized communities, and then we can come back with another adjustment. You can direct staff to use other communities that did not participate, so you can give me and say we need to get more communities that did not participate, or you can adopt the new pay as stated, which follows city ordinance.
How about if we just wait until after November?
Can't.
So you cannot do it after that, but you can.
Well, you
I
can do it
guess,
for the
well,
subsequent.
Yeah, that's what
It gets messy.
But, yeah.
I've always thought it awkward to base a number on everybody around you. But I don't know of a better answer.
Well, they have a slightly better answer.
So the current ordinance says it has to be plus or minus 1,000, which could be communities like, note that, that's like Grand Rapids, Cambridge, Mendota Heights, which may or may not be seeing the similar things that we are. Big Lake's probably one of them that is seeing something similar that we are. But of the other communities, likely other ones, they are not seeing the same growth, the same development, which is why I try to utilize, okay, what other communities around us seeing, which are Ramsey, Corcoran, Rogers, communities that are seeing larger growth. Champlin's
How
probably
come
the only
Maple
one that's
Grove's
not.
not in there?
Well, you can use Maple Grove. We've historically not used Maple Grove as
Just
comparisons.
teasing.
I'm happy to put them in there. That would give you a nice pay raise.
I'm
But-
just teasing.
But,
But that's why I asked, but I am teasing. We can't compare
we
ourselves
have
to
always tried not to use Maple Grove because they
Yeah.
are an anomaly.
They are,
In
yeah.
almost every aspect of tax levy and pay.
I was,
and all those
yes.
things.
I was being facetious.
I'm happy to put them in there, but I figured if I did, I'd get chastised for it.
Do you know,
Either way.
I guess I haven't, I could ask this too, but Rogers, Ramsey, do you know what I guess they just picked a number. Because the
Yes.
fact that it's an exact number.
Exactly. Yep. So we've always utilized an average, so that's why the pay is very awkward. It's like
Wonky, yeah.
council's $4,968, and it just seems like a random number we picked, but that's how it worked, is because it's an average. This was reviewed back in 2018.
It's not an average, it's the median.
Sorry. Yeah. Median.
That's a very different thing.
That is a different thing.
It's different, but it's close.
It can be close, yeah.
Please, it can be, but it is not always. Do you need to come to my class, Zach?
I'm good. College math a long time ago. I'm good.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's fine.
Just press the button.
Yeah, I don't know, it's kind of wonky talking about your own pay, but we're still talking about not a lot of money.
Yeah, so essentially the
And we
difference
have
is like.
definitely put in far more work sessions than historically, but.
Oh, yeah. So, whatever the council let you do, I will stand for any questions.
I'm not here for the money, so I don't care what.
I guess you could say I don't adopt it and I want to go back to my own pay. I didn't put that as option 4, but you could technically do that too.
I mean, it is a ton of work. And
So it sounds like we really have two methods here.
I mean, yeah,
Right.
based on size or based on location
Yeah.
at the end of the day. So,
Well, I don't think, to the point of this thing, our current ordinance, just goes simply off of population, and that's a starting place. I think that's overly simplistic because of growth, what is the level of activity. So I think it could be more sophisticated than that. I mean, that's the formula we have, and it looked like we, increase the council pay a couple $100. And, given the environment we're in, we're going to get skewered for giving ourselves a raise no matter what. I'm not willing to do it for
Well,
$200.
It is the next council, but
Let's
yes.
let's put a vote on Facebook.
Oh,
You can just
let's not do
leave
that.
that one alone, but
though, in the grand scheme of the city budget,
anybody
this is
that's
peanuts.
doing
This is
this job for the money, I got advice for you. McDonald's pays better.
Well,
You
move
know-
to Maple Grove if you want to do this job for the money.
I will say
think Lawn mowing
that
pays better.
just in talking with council members from other cities, we easily keep up with Rogers, and my guess is Ramsey too, hour-wise. Amount of work, our meetings are long relative to a lot of other councils, so I could go with either one.
Well, to use the methodology in the lower table or something else like that, that would require a change to the ordinance, which we're not
Yep.
doing tonight. We are either going to follow existing and adopt or not adopt this based on your survey, or we deny that and, either do nothing or ask to review other possible methods for determining a fair value.
So essentially tonight I'm looking for, would you like the new pay to be 6952 and 5304, because that's what it is based on
The ordinance.
ordinance, or you can make no motion and give me direction to say we need to change
Update
the
the
ordinance, or we're not doing anything, which is fine, so it's kind of 3 options, but otherwise I can obviously go back and do more research on other communities.
If we
that respond.
update the ordinance, do you see that taking prior to December?
Oh, it shouldn't take long, there's no hearing or anything needed based on Cynthia, so she said it should be done in August and then probably September approval or something like that. It could be done probably the same meeting, is likely an option as well, but
Should we be comparing to?
Just has to be done before November.
this has to be done before November, before the election.
For the
Yeah.
election.
Yeah, and it would easily be done if that's the direction given by council.
I mean, realistically, the amount of work we're doing is more in line with the cities around us than random cities around the state that happen to be the same size as this. So I think it makes more sense to compare ourselves to our neighbor cities, excluding Maple Grove, for obvious reasons. But the other cities around us, I think that makes more sense. So my personal vote is to update the ordinance to look at our neighboring cities and stay, and I'm fine with the median, not the mean, of our neighboring cities.
Is that a motion?
If we're doing the mean, then I definitely want Maple Grove in here. But if we're doing the median, Maple Grove's not going to actually change it that much.
I'm happy to do whatever, I'm just here for providing.
So my vote is to update the ordinance to look at our neighboring cities and not just based on size. That's my vote.
I could buy that.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
That's a motion.
That's what I heard.
Well, you said it would just be direction though, right?
Oh.
You can make a motion a second to have us update it, that way it's
Okay.
official direction,
Okay.
but.
That's my motion.
Okay, any second?
Oh, goodness, you guys, I'll second. Sorry.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no.
I'm not going to say anything.
We got
Well, then, are you abstaining?
Are you abstaining?
What's the reason for abstaining?
Just
Okay.
because I want to.
4-0. All right, so it passes 4-0. I will say that there are some cities in that second list that, yeah, we'll have to look at the ordinance, because,
When we update the ordinance, that's when you guys can
Yeah.
say,
Say,
we
these are
can
the
do this,
cities.
we
Yeah.
can make it reasonable, we can use all the language you'd like to see, because you guys will be able
Yeah.
to say, we want to use this in this ordinance.
Okay.
That's fine.
all right.
I have so much fun, I might do it for free.
That's an option.
It's an option. Update the
You
ordinance.
could donate.
Actually,
I'll second that.
That's happened before.
That's got like a
it
great
didn't
second.
go very well, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that passes 4-0.
4-1.
4 to
Four
0,
to
you
zero,
abstained.
Abstain.
Oh, sorry, yep.
As we
Okay.
don't yell at you, sorry.
All right, so now we are on to closed session. Okay, so I will make this as a motion. Closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.03. A closed session shall be conducted for labor negotiations with Teamsters Public Law Enforcement Union, Local
That would be great.
320.
Thank you.
And I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. We are off to closed session. So, closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.05 subdivision 3C3. A closed session shall be conducted to develop or consider offers or counteroffers for the purchase or sale of real or personal property, PID 32-120-22-23-0003 and 32-120-22-23-0004. And I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those say no. We are in closed session. On to item Q, and you know what? Were you gonna spew a motion there?
Yeah, so Mayor, what I'm looking for, based on the direction of the closed session, is the motion to not sign the agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. That carries 5-0. And we are off to item R.
We're tabling that?
Motion?
I make a motion to table it?
Second.
To come, and do you need more than that? Okay.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. That is tabled, and with that, if there are no objections, we will be adjourned. We're out. We're done.